I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? I can open your eyes, take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways, and under, on a magic carpet ride. A whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no, or where to go, or say we're only dreaming.
A whole new world, a dazzling place I never knew. But now from way up here, it's crystal clear that now I'm in a whole new world with you. Unbelievable sights, indescribable feelings, soaring, tumbling, freewheeling through an endless diamond sky. A whole new world.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
100,000
Hold your breath, it
things to
gets
see.
better. I'm like a shooting star, I've come so far,
I can't go back to where I used to be.
World with new horizons to pursue. I'll chase them anywhere. There's time to spare. Let me share this whole new world with you. There's time to spare. Anyway, there's time to spare.
Let me share
this whole new world with you.
A whole new world.
A whole new world.
That's where we'll be.
Where we will be.
A thrilling change.
Wondrous place for you and me.
A whole new world,
a whole new world,
a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no, or where to go, or say we're only dreaming.
A whole new world.
Comedy scene would.
Oh yeah.
So then we cut to the first song. I don't know what it's called. What the fuck is the first song called? It's like, I gotta run around and steal from people.
I noticed every song in that movie is like the same tempo, like the same.
It's a good song.
Mhm.
And so he's running around. What do you think of that first scene where he's running around stealing shit and they're chasing him?
It's good. I
Yeah.
mean, that's like it reminded me of the video game, which I was
Well, it's the
heavily
first level.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
that's
heavily addicted to as a kid.
I love that's one of the reasons I got a Sega Genesis, by the way.
Really?
That game, yeah. When I saw the graphics, I was like, "This is amazing."
My dad had Sega Genesis, and the first game I played, Streets of Rage.
That's good.
And to this day, that's one of the best fucking games of all time.
Streets of Rage, the whole trilogy, which I have that on PS4. The whole trilogy is fucking amazing.
It came out on PS4.
The Sega Genesis Classic Collection.
Oh, okay.
And the 50 games you could buy for like $20.
I was playing it on the emulator not too long ago, and it was still like, this game
still
is
holds up.
fucking awesome.
And by the way, we're talking about hot 2D characters, Blaze, and that is pretty hot.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was your character in that?
I liked Blaze and Axel. I know the black guy was like, 'cause
Racist.
I'm a racist. Yeah.
Axel's my guy too.
I don't know where this black guy came from. But,
Who's picking this guy in the rollerblades?
I've been saying so many offensive things. I just said how hot 15-year-old Miley Cyrus is. But who's gonna cancel me? Everyone's dead. Okay, so
You can't be canceled. The
Can't
world
be
is canceled.
That's right. You can't ban me from Caroline's if it doesn't exist. Oh, I'm literally watch everything come back to normal. like 3 years ago, you're gonna host a Tonight Show. Like, we heard your Aladdin podcast.
It comes back tomorrow. Watch.
It comes back tomorrow. I'm like, oh, we have to redo this podcast. No, this podcast stays as is. Hold on. Why does this snooze? Okay, so Aladdin's running around. Jasmine decides to sneak out and check out the scene, and she tries taking. She just takes an apple because apparently she doesn't know about money.
Mm-hmm.
No one's taught about money, and then the guy in the store is about to cut off her hand. He had an extreme reaction for like a hot little like 18-year-old girl taking an apple. I'd be like, keep the apple. You want to go get a fucking drink? What the fuck?
With those fuck me eyes.
Where have you seen a more gorgeous chick? He's gonna chop off her hand. And Aladdin has to get her out of it.
Mm-hmm.
He gets her out of it. Then the fucking guards chase him. Her and him, they go up in a little like.
Oh, she did the fucking Superman trick too. Now that I realize it.
Yeah,
She
they don't
just
know
had
who she is.
She had a hood on, and they're like, "Well, this girl's different."
Yeah, this girl's. I just think people in Agrava are not very smart.
No.
No, they're not. They're probably all like.
Well, the theory too is that in the apocalypse, it's Agrava is basically just Arabia, but it's
Saudi Arabia.
over time it's gotten changed, and that's one of the only civilizations that's left. That's why there's that buried stop sign.
But there's China. They go to China at one point.
Oh yeah. Well, that foils that plan.
There you go. Unless Mulan is also. Well, no, Mulan takes place in actual human history, so that's a semi-true story. I don't know how true it is, but it's like a
Is
legend.
it?
It's a legend in China.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they didn't just make it up. But that's for a different time. Fuck Mulan. So Aladdin though gets captured by Jafar, and Jasmine's Jasmine's like, no, you have to free him, and Jafar lies to her. He goes, no, we chopped off his head, which is a fucking brutal thing.
Yeah,
To
right.
just kind of like have that out there.
Yeah, my bad.
I'm surprised she wouldn't be like, let me see the body. I'm the
Yeah.
fucking princess.
Mhm.
But instead, she's like, oh, you chopped off his head. Okay, cool.
Yeah, she's like, what are you gonna do?
I'm just gonna go back to using my shower head as a masturbating head.
Her tiger tongue.
So they send Aladdin into the Cave of Wonders. He gets the fucking lamp, and then he gets chased. It's a huge chase scene with the carpet and the lamp. Jafar, like, he gives Jafar a fake lamp. Jafar tries to kill him. He gets back in the cave. He's trapped in the cave. And then finally Robin Williams shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's when the movie takes off.
just takes off to another fucking level. That song, You Never Had a Friend Like Me, I think is peak Robin Williams. I think everything that you
That's iconic, Robin Williams, right there.
everything you love about Robin Williams is in that sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just like such a tour de force. And you know, originally, like for years, the rule in Disney was don't make references to pop culture. Don't date things.
Oh, every reference, Jack Nicholson, Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
He hit it all. Yeah.
Yeah, so when he started doing they said just do whatever you want. He started doing all these impressions.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, do we tell him to stop? And they're like, no, let's just fucking go with it. Like, let's
Oh, really?
break-
That wasn't part of the script?
No. So they hired him. They had a basic script, but they told him he could improvise.
Yeah.
And he just, because they animated to his voice. So if he did an impression of someone,
So
they
he just
don't,
improv that whole fucking thing?
yeah.
That's so dope.
You think
He
it
really
would've been
was so dope.
What if they animated Jack Nicholson? He's like, I don't know how to do Jack Nicholson. like, no, he did he did the voice first, and then they animated to it.
That's crazy.
And when they got the voice tracks back, they were like, oh, we're gonna have fucking fun with this.
Yeah.
Because, but yeah, they let him go ballistic, and they let him make prop. But that's probably one of the reasons why people think this is post-apocalyptic, because he's referencing so many things that
That's what I
Aladdin
was going to say.
just flies right over fucking Aladdin's head.
Yeah, he has 10,000. And he's like, I've been in here for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
So people assume that it's 10,000 AD.
Yeah, like, how would he know about fucking Jack Nicholson, baseball,
Exactly.
Pinocchio?
All his references are from our time.
Our time, yeah. Doesn't he have a Letterman? He has the applause break sign.
Yeah.
It's of cheerleaders. It's so cool, but they let him go with it. So Aladdin, him and Aladdin get out of the cave. He wishes to be a prince. They do Prince Ali, Ali Abi, Ali Adala. I don't even know how that goes.
Ali
Great,
Ababa.
another great Robin Williams sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Jasmine's not impressed by him because she just likes homeless crackheads, like the last girl I liked. And
She's basically like the girl who falls for the drug dealer that has no job.
yes, and I seemingly always get into that girl.
Mm-hmm.
So, although now nobody has a job.
You have a type.
I do have a type. So, but then he shows her that he has a magic carpet, and right away she's ready to suck his dick. And they do Whole New World, which is your favorite song.
Yep.
And when they get off the carpet, and the other thing too is the big thing is Genie keeps telling Aladdin, just be yourself, just be yourself, just be yourself. And he won't be himself. Finally, she finds out, hey, it's you. They're in China. There's no Chinese people because I guess they were all murdered by Corona. And instead of saying like, oh yeah, I'm the street urchin, he's like, I like to pretend to be a street urchin, but I'm still definitely 110% a fucking prince.
Yeah.
And she buys it. The one thing I always forget when I watch the movie is they find out Jafar is a dick really, really early on into the climax.
Yeah, it was like 3/4 of the way through the movie.
Yeah. And they find out Jafar is a dick. Him and Gilbert Gottfried decide to leave. They do the lamp trick on Aladdin.
Yeah.
He gets the lamp. He rubs it. He becomes Sultan and a more powerful sorcerer. Sends Aladdin to fucking Alaska, who somehow, or New York. I think it's New York, post-apocalyptic.
Yes.
The global warming, everything is ended. Aladdin gets back there. They have a fight scene. Genie is hilarious. They trick Jafar into thinking that he's, you're not as powerful as the Genie. He becomes the new Genie. Screw you, Arthur.
How did Aladdin get back from Poughkeepsie so fast?
The magic carpet.
Oh, yeah.
But it is really fast, though. You have to admit.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
It was pretty fucking quick. That's the only part whenever I get to it, I always forget. I go, the Genie. He must wish for, and no, he gets back super fast.
Yeah.
They turn the Genie, wish the Genie to be free. Here's the crazy thing. So he has one more wish, and the Genie's like, oh, just wish yourself to be a prince again. Then you can marry, because the rule is that Jasmine can only marry a prince. And the Genie is like, oh, just wish yourself to become a prince again, and then you can marry Jasmine. And I'm like, why don't you just give the fucking lamp to Jasmine? And then she can wish for A, New York to be restored, B, coronavirus to be eradicated, and C,
he's a prince.
He's a prince. Or yeah. And then he can take the lamp back and be like, now you're free.
That would be ideal.
That'd be ideal.
Also, the whole movie, the dad is kind of like a cuck for his daughter. It's like a weird Pornhub video.
Well, he's really obsessed with his daughter fucking someone.
He's trying to get his daughter fucked the whole movie.
The whole movie. I mean,
and then the best is when everyone from town, for some reason that he's been oppressing, and all his slaves are super excited. Bless you. They're all super excited for Jasmine to get the dick.
I've never been that. Let me tell you something. Every time a guy has gotten like a girl that I've had a crush on, I almost guarantee you half that town has a crush on her. Every time, even if it's a girl that I kind of like vaguely have a crush on, and a guy gets with her, I'm immediately got fuck that guy. Yeah. But the whole town is excited that she gets dick.
They're like, we're all your slave, but awesome.
Awesome. That's the other thing too. The Genie brags to the Sultan in the song Prince Ali. He brags to Jasmine the Sultan that he has slaves.
Yeah.
And they're cool with it.
Yeah. They're like, this is legit. That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, yes.
Oh, that's a perk.
That's a perk. Slaves. I love slaves. Are they Jews?
You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. You think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew, Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon? Or ask the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? No. Come run the hidden pine trails of the forest. Come taste the sun-sweet berries of the earth. Come roll in all the riches all around you. And for once, never wonder what they're worth. The rainstorm and the river are my brothers. The heron and the otter are my friends. and we're all connected to each other in a circle, in a hoop that never ends. How high does the sycamore grow? If you cut it down, then you'll never know. And you'll never hear the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or whether we are white or copper skinned. You need to sing with all the voices of the mountain. You need to paint with all the colors of the wind. You can own the earth, and still all you'll own is earth until you can paint with all the colors of the wind.
Around the river bend.
Yeah.
So then we see the governor. He's got the pug, right? That's the little dog. And the governor wants to impress King James and come to Virginia to dig up their gold.
Okay.
So that was like the whole thing. The governor is just greed, greed, greed. I'm going to come there. I'm going to kill the natives. I'm going to dig up all their gold. And that's it.
And John Smith is kind of on the same page with him at this point, who, by the way, is being played by Mel Gibson.
Right. So, and again, everyone's speaking English. The Indians are speaking English. Great job. So then we see John lands on in Virginia, and he doesn't really see Pocahontas. She's like hiding in the bushes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like
So
all
then-
hot chicks.
Right. So then the medicine man of the Indian crew, he predicts that the English are going to attack, and he calls them the Pale Visitors.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
And I'm like,
There's already racial tension in the air. It's like West Side Story.
tons of racial tension. So now he sticks the flag in the lands, and he's like, this is Jamestown after King James.
Mm-hmm. And it's
So
still called
that's-
Jamestown, right?
Yeah, that's a real thing. That was Jamestown,
Yeah.
Virginia. So he says that the Spanish came there and they had found so much gold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's just confused.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I know that this is all like kind of based on reality, except like there's things that are different, like Pocahontas being a gorgeous 30-something-year-old woman as opposed to a 12-year-old.
So now they're going to dig up all of Virginia, just holes in the ground. Now, I didn't know. I'm assuming that they thought someone buried a treasure, not like they were going to find natural gold.
I think they thought the Indians had gold.
And they dug it and they put it into the ground, like gold
Yes.
bars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're going to dig up all of Virginia, just random holes.
Yeah, that's the
So
plan.
then they sing the song about the land, blah, blah, blah.
By the way, how gay was the governor?
Okay, I don't think he was gay. I think his assistant,
Oh, assistant is very gay too.
his
Yeah.
assistant's very, very gay. So
Mhm.
I liked him. He was kind of like the court jester with a little bit of comic relief as well.
The other thing about this villain is Jafar, Scar, and Gaston are the last villains in these movies.
Right.
And they're very likable. They're assholes, but they're likable assholes.
Right.
This guy is just horrendous. He's not
dumb.
likable. His design's kind of he looks weird. I don't know. It's just not a likable villain. After having
he's
so many
dumb.
likable villains,
He's very easy, as we see in as we see in the movie, like he's very easy to take over. You know, they're not like super scared of him.
yeah.
So now they actually meet, right? This is the point where they actually meet. They lock eyes, John Smith and Pocahontas, because he's kind of like chasing her, seeing what's going on. She runs away, and now she doesn't speak English anymore.
No, she forgot. Even though she just sang just around the river bend.
She just sang it in English. Very nice. Good job. Doesn't speak English. And this is where he says hi. And then all of a sudden it all comes flooding back to her. She's like, I
Hi.
also, I used to take ESL in a dream.
And then she sings them Colors of the Wind.
Yes. Not yet. Does she sing Colors? No, she doesn't sing Colors of the Wind yet. This is a little, very, very soon after. The English plan an ambush attack on the Indians.
Okay.
And then the Indians say, no one go near the white man.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So
this is
obviously
when-
that means that she's gonna go try to. Every time you tell your daughter, don't go near that. That's
Right.
who she's fucking within a day.
Sure, and now exactly what's happening. So now,
Yeah.
they teach each other their greetings. He says hi, handshake. She shows him the little Indian thing they do, and then she takes his compass. She's like, "What's this?"
Mm-hmm.
So he tells her that he lives in London. She's like, "Oh, is that your village?" He's like, "Oh yeah, but it's like way better than this. We're gonna civilize you."
Yeah.
And she's like, "We are civilized. It's just
yes.
different than you." And that's where she sings Colors of the Wind.
Yes, and that they still play on the radio. I don't know if they still play Vanessa Williams' version.
I was
of
going
it.
to say Vanessa Williams sings it. Yeah, I remember this. So
It's
now,
always on the radio.
obviously, she sang a good song. They're going to fall in love.
Yeah. I mean, if she sang a shitty song, he would have been like, I don't know if you're really that civilized.
Right, but
I
now
have
they're
way better
like-
songs in England.
They're into it, right? So now also remember something. The drums equal trouble.
Oh, yes, that's right. They were hitting the drums. Yeah.
So now not King James, but the governor, he builds a wall. And I'm like, yes, this is what's happening in America right now. We're actually trying to build a wall too.
It's funny how so many things in movies now are happening in the real world.
Yeah.
Like I was saying to somebody, when people watch Jaws, they're always like, that mayor is a fucking idiot. Who would listen to that mayor? And now with this
You're like-
corona, everybody is literally becoming the mayor in Jaws.
Yeah, it's not great.
Trump is the mayor in Jaws at this point.
Well, so he's building a wall. He's gonna, build like a fort basically.
Okay.
And the governor's gay assistant, right? So he says
Yes.
to the assistant, like, I don't know what their problem is. And the assistant is like, well, I think that they're kind of mad that you came here. You're going to take their land. You're trying to just like civilize them when they already have their thing, and like you're attacking them and killing them.
And
And
he
the
he makes a speech that this is his land.
Right. And the governor's like, yeah, I don't think that's it.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, no, you know what? I don't think they have rights or opinions. So fuck
Yeah,
them.
he's
We
like,
should
I
just-
think that they're just hiding gold from us.
Yeah. And that's when John Smith. You know what though? I did think this scene was funny because John Smith goes up to her the gold and she goes, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's no gold," and he's like, "That's all I need." And that's like,
Right.
she just kind of brushes it off to the point where now that I look back, I'm like, she might be lying about that fucking gold because the way she just kind of there's no gold.
Well,
no
she's
gold.
like, I don't know what gold is. She's like, we do have. He's like, it's yellow. She's like, oh, we have corn. Yeah.
That's right. Then he brings the corn back, and it's weird that I guess England didn't have corn until John Smith and Pocahontas.
That is true though, because remember something. The big thing that like why we have like the cornucopia and everything like for Thanksgiving is because the natives brought corn.
Oh, okay.
Like that's
All
what they
right, wow.
introduced to us. We didn't have corn.
And that's why you had the Land O'Lakes girl with the butter. Okay.
Exactly.
Wow,
With the
learning
corn
a lot.
oil too. So now this is when we get introduced to her mom's necklace.
Okay. Yes,
So her
which
dad's
is
like-
torn off down the yes.
Right. So her dad's like, oh, you look so beautiful in your mom's necklace. Ooh, yeah. Come here, Poca. And then he's like, oh, wait, never mind. You're my daughter. I'll just calm down.
But I mean, to his point, there's no other attractive. Like her best friend is like a 6.
yeah,
And she's like
no one's
she's
as
like
hot
the
as her.
second hottest woman in the village.
True story. So now Bear is looking for her. I'm just going to call him Bear because it's easier.
Okay.
And she's off running around with John Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So this is when she shows him the gold corn. And he's like, maybe I'll just stay here. Maybe I'll just live with you. And it's like, what are you, a deadbeat boyfriend?
Yeah. Oh, you mean John Smith is just gonna live with her?
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
like, I think it's a good idea if I just stay here with you. And she's like, oh, don't you have like roommates or something that you... And he's like, no, it's cool here. She's like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's cool if you stay on weekends, but...
Yeah, you know what it is like with this relationship, and I'll tell you why it gets weirder later on. Not right now, but it's like he's really like right away just ready, and I would too. To be honest with you, if I ran into a woman like Pocahontas, I would totally be like, I'm gonna live with you right now. Like you're fucking gorgeous.
Right.
But
also like he's like a big warrior. Like, he's like
yeah.
this like big important guy in England right now.
Yeah, and
He's a
he's like just willing to
captain.
give it up. But I mean, she is really hot, though. You have to give that.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to move in, but also like, why don't you just put her on the boat and take her with you?
Which is what happens in the real world.
Right. So now
Yeah.
the tree starts talking to him. This is Mother Earth, the tree,
Mm-hmm.
the grandmother. She's like, "Hello, John Smith," and he's like, "Oh shit, the tree's talking."
Yeah, which he never brings up to anyone, which would solve the whole problem. The trees can talk.
I think
You
that they
know?
would execute. They would have been like, "Oh man, we got to kill the captain.
We get a kid. That's true.
He's crazy." So
But he should have just showed some of them the tree.
She should have, but I think they would have just shot the tree or something. So
Okay.
she wants her dad to talk to the English guys because she wants everyone to smooth it out, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So John tries to go back to the English guys to encourage them to negotiate.
Yeah.
But the governor doesn't believe that there's no gold. And he's like, no. All they got is corn.
And the governor's like, "Fuck that! Like it's all mine." And then he tells. Now the one thing we haven't mentioned, there's a plot thread in the movie where there's this little meek English guy who can't shoot for shit.
Yes.
He's not. And I thought his character was one of the best in this movie. He's like the unsung hero.
Yes,
but
he
he
definitely
can't
is.
shoot for shit, and they keep
He's the one
berating
that falls
him.
overboard when they're first trying to get to, like, he's a
Mm-hmm.
nuisance. He's not a help to anyone.
He's not a help to anyone, and even now, like, the governor is still like, "You've been a failure to me. If you see an Indian, you have to shoot them on sight."
right. So now
But he's
she's go ahead, sorry.
Okay, but like, he's been very deliberate about how much this kid sucks. Even John Smith has kind of like rode him for being like kind of useless.
Yeah, he's annoying.
Yeah.
So now she's with her BFF and they're collecting corn again.
Mm-hmm.
And then John Smith comes and is like, "Come on, Pocahontas, let's go make out in the woods."
Yeah.
And her best friend is like, "I'm not going to lie." She wants her best friend to lie for her again. And she's like, "I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie." So her friend snitches on and tells Bear.
Just because she was jealous. It's always the friend. It's always the friend that gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the friend. Like, I don't know. My experience is I'll hit off with some girl. She'll meet up with her friend. Next thing I know, the girl's distant because the friend has probably said like, "Oh, raised in his 30s. He's this, he's that." It's always the fucking friend. Again, this friend probably went, "This guy's white. He doesn't know what corn is. He's older. He's Mel Gibson. He hates the Jews."
I love it. So her friend totally snitches. And then we see a little bit more of the pug and the raccoon playing a little bit. They're very symbolic. So they are mimicking everything that's happening
Yes.
between the Indians and the English. So they're at first they are absolute enemies, right? They're nemesis.
Yes.
So now the tree is trying to teach everyone to stop fighting.
Maybe she should not be a fucking tree and move around. That's just all I
Right.
gotta
She's
say.
just, well, she's not doing a great job.
No,
So
she did a terrible job.
they kiss, and then Bear finds John Smith and attacks him.
Yes, he attacks him, and to be
And he's
fair,
gonna kill him. He's gonna kill him.
I mean, I would kill him too. This guy literally showed up out of nowhere and is now macking. I was promised the hottest girl in the village,
Right.
and now some white dude just showed up.
Right.
and
Like he bought Pocahontas from her dad fair and square.
Yeah, and back then that was like what we did. I mean, it was just
Right.
it's very offensive. I feel bad for him.
we
Well, I don't know. We're Americans. They were Americans. I don't know.
hilarious. So now Bear attacks him, tries to stab him, and then all of a sudden your friend, the white guy that has no shot, he
Shoots this fucking guy.
and kills Bear one shot.
Yeah, and that's
And she's like, "Oh, thank God, now I don't have to marry him."
I don't have to fuck this guy.
This
Yeah.
is great. So now they take John Smith away because they think that John Smith killed Bear.
Mm-hmm.
And her mom's necklace breaks, right?
Yeah, who tears it off? Was it? Oh, I think doesn't it fall off while they're
It's
fighting?
like in the scuffle because she's
Yeah.
trying to attack Bear to get Bear off of John Smith.
Mm-hmm.
But now we find out that the best friend sent Bear after her to help her, and now she feels guilty.
Yeah, well, she should, because she's just jealous.
Yeah. So now John Smith is in teepee jail. They have him tied up in a teepee.
And she gets him out in 3 seconds. She's just like, I'm just gonna go in there, and the soldier's like, okay,
Yeah, no
You know?
problem. Go ahead. What do
no
we
problem.
gotta
You're
do?
Pocahontas. Even though we all know you were just making out with each other for 2 hours ago.
No problem. So now the
Yeah.
government's down for like straight up war because he wants to get the savages out of there.
Yeah, and they have John Smith, and they're ready to go fuck them up for John Smith.
Right. So they're calling them savages. They sing the song about the savages. But then you see the other side of it is that the Indians are now calling the English the savages, and they also call them the pale-faced demon.
Mm-hmm. Which they're not wrong.
So they both think that each other are the savages.
Yeah.
So now,
But it turns out the Jews were the savages. No, I'm joking. I'm fucking with you.
So now we realize something, and this is about her dream. She still has his compass, and this brings it all together. This is the compass from her dream.
Yes.
So now she has to stand up for John Smith. So they're gonna execute him on the top of the rock.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes and she is his human shield, and she's like, "You kill him, you kill me too."
And I think this is something that did happen in the real world, actually.
Maybe.
I think Pocahontas did use herself as a human shield. I think.
Interesting. So now there's just like so much hatred. The English have the hatred for the Indians. The Indians have the hatred, and now the father is like, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. So he spares John Smith, and he says that his daughter has courage and understanding. So that's like kind of the theme of the movie, I think.
Yeah, and then they don't they arrest the governor? They turn on the governor.
So now they're like, fuck this guy. So they ship him back to England. They tie him up, and they think the governor thinks it's a trick.
Mm-hmm.
And so he shoots John Smith, and then that's when they turn on him. And
yeah, because you can't shoot John Smith.
Right. So now he shoots John Smith, but John doesn't die. He just gets like a little bullet.
Yeah.
A little bullet, holy woly. And they have to bring John back because they have to probably operate on him or heal him up. He's going to die in the woods.
But here's my thing with that. It's like, we have to get him back to England or he'll die. And it's like,
Right.
Isn't like England like a month away in this era? Like, how are you going to keep this guy going? What are you going to like?
If he doesn't have his surgery in 3 months.
Yeah, like, why don't you just have one of the like? I just don't understand that logic. Like, I would just assume if I was gonna be like, you know what, I'm probably just gonna die anyway.
Right.
So why
Or
don't
could
I just lay here and have this Indian girl fuck the shit out of me?
Right. Or
You know?
could you get like that medicine guy to like try to pull the bullet out? Maybe.
Yeah, like maybe they could do something. They are just like, yeah, England. I thought they're like so advanced. They can't fucking heal this guy's shoulder.
He's like,
Like,
you know
we're
what
not
I think
that
I'm gonna
good.
do? I think I'm gonna take a flight back to England, and I'll meet you guys there. If you guys want, if you want to do that.
It's like, how are they gonna keep this guy alive until they get to fucking England?
So now the assistant of the governor, he's watching them bring the governor onto the boat, and he's like, "Oh man, you really thought you knew someone."
I thought this guy was really charming the way he would just berate everybody and
He was great. So John wanted Pocahontas, just like John was wounded. I'm sorry, and Pocahontas in the village comes bearing gifts for him because everyone's friends now.
yeah, they all bring gifts. Yes.
She brings him Grandma Willow's bark.
Okay.
And then her father takes off his cloak and gives it to him to keep him warm.
Yeah.
And then
he's like, by the way, I could have been on a boat like 3 hours ago. Can we fucking hurry this up?
I know he
Confitero Deo omnipotanti Beate Mariae Semper Virgini Beato Michaeli Arcangelo Sanctis Apostoli Omnibus Sanctis Beata Maria, you know I am a righteous man, and of my virtue I am justly proud. Beata Maria, you know I'm so much purer than the common, vulgar, weak, licentious crowd. Then tell me, Maria, why I see her dancing there, why her smoldering eyes still scorch my soul. I feel her, I see her, the sun cut in her raven hair is blazing, get me out of all control. Like fire to sin. It's not my fault. I'm not to blame. It is the gypsy girl, the witch who set this flame. It's not my fault. If in God's plan, He made the devil so much stronger than a man. Protect me, Maria. Don't let this siren cast her spell. Don't let her fire sear my flesh and bone. Destroy Esmeralda and let her taste the fires of hell. Or else let her be mine and mine alone.
Mistress Frollo, the gypsy has escaped.
What?
She's nowhere in the cathedral. She's gone.
But how? Never mind. Get out, you idiot! I'll find her. I'll find her if I have to burn down all of Paris. Hellfire, dark fire. Now, gypsy, it's your turn. Choose me or your fire. Be mine or you will burn. God have mercy on her. God have mercy on me. But she will be mine, or she will
point where it gets very Disney sloppy.
Well, now it's starting to get like that. Yeah.
Right? So, like, I would say it becomes like, it was almost as if they made this very dark movie and they showed it, and the people at Disney were like, it's too dark. Just go back, just add a few things in there, add this, add that. The original creator of it was not thrilled. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the part of the movie where it gets kind of sloppy.
Yeah.
And it almost kind of stays sloppy until the end.
Well, the one thing. Okay, so now let's cut to the end. So we get to the end part. Frollo is like, Esmeralda, you want to fuck? And she's like, fuck no. And he's like, fuck you. And he puts her at the stake. He's gonna burn her.
Word for word.
Quasimodo is chained down. He gets out because of his retard strength. And this part I think is great. They've done this in the 40s, the one with Charles Lawton, which is a very kind of forgotten movie, but it's one of the classics. In the Quasimodo film of the 40s, they have a scene where he holds up and goes, "Sanctuary!" It's like his catchphrase. Quasimodo, and the computer graphics in this is just incredible. Sweeps down, grabs her, brings her back up and goes, "Sanctuary!" And the crowd cheers. That is the best part. The rest of the movie kind of falls apart after that. He saves her, brings her back in, unties her. Frollo fights him, and Frollo falls to his death into the fire. And Quasimodo is saved by Phoebus. And then Quasimodo is just like, I guess I'm in the friend zone.
Oh, that's the ultimate fuck you friend zone, right? Like the guy just saved your life. And it's like,
I broke chains for you.
Like now, like, yeah, you go through all that and then you're going to fall to your death. And then the boyfriend catches you and saves your life. And now it's like, I have to like this guy. What a terrible friend zone situation.
Can I just tell you?
It would be like getting a flat tire on the highway and nobody can help you. And you call the girl, and she's like, I'm going to send someone to help you. And who shows up?
Her boyfriend.
Her fucking boyfriend. And you're like, God. And then he does it, and he's nice. And he's like, you know what, man? I noticed that your tank was on empty. Here's $20. Don't just get gas. Don't worry about giving it back to me. And you're just like, God damn it. I hate you every night I go to sleep. And now I'm forced to like you.
Yeah. Can I tell you something? This happened to me. So I had a girl I was into. She was a bartender at this bar I was going to back in 2006. And she started banging a customer there. He was a 40-year-old guy at the time who lived with his mom. and he was a record producer, right? He was British. Let me tell you something. When you're British with an accent, you can get away with so much goofy shit.
Well, if you are British, you definitely have an accent.
Well, yes, okay. Well, you could be British, then they brought you here.
True, that's true. I tell Mick Thomas all the time. I'm like, dude, you're lying. I know you have a regular American accent. What is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
But when you have that British Hugh Grant accent, you could literally say the most ridiculous shit, and women find it charming. I'll never forget. He was sitting at the bar next to me. He used to go to the bar every night. And he'd be sitting there and be like, yeah, I live with my mom, and I love living with my mom. You know, my mom's a good woman. And I'm like, only with a British accent can you get away with telling a woman, because he's in his 40s, and she was like 25, 26. Only with a British accent can you get away with telling a woman that young that you live with your mom, and she's like, I think I want to fuck this guy. So
but when you go other places in this country, right? Like, we find the New York accent. We're like, ugh. But you go down to South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, they love that shit.
Oh, in California,
and down there, the Southern accents. They're like, ugh. They come to New York. There's a lot of Southern accents that will sweep women right off their feet here in New York.
In California, they loved my New York accent.
I think it's just hearing something different. I don't know. I never understood it myself.
So we like kissed. I took her to the Caroline's Christmas party. Things were going really well. I really liked her. I would go to see her, and I would overtip her too. And then one night she says to me, and I used to do this. So I used to, before I ran Monday nights, when Andy Engel was still running them, I would be the videographer. So I would work the phone booth from 10 to 6 back then film. They used to have 2 new talent shows on Monday. And I would film both of them. So I wouldn't get out till 11. So I would be there from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I would do 10 a.m. to 6 on a Tuesday, because I would then go up on the New Class Clown show that Brian Kennedy. Did you ever meet him at the brokerage or Governor's?
I recognize the name.
He was the manager of brokerage for many years.
I smoke too much pot, so I'm terrible when it comes to names.
If
I saw him, I'd be like, oh, I know who this is.
Yeah, he was a nice kid. He would put me on his show, New Class Clown. So I would do doubles both days. Well, they were like comedy doubles. So I was always tired on Monday nights. I would go right home and go to bed, and I would get right up. So she hit me up, and she's like, hey, I want to talk to you. And we really need to talk. And I thought this was going to be about our relationship or my feelings for her or whatever. So I ran down there, and I went, and I had food there, and we go for a walk. And we're going for a walk, and she tells me the guy's name was Simon. Hey, Simon has told me he has feelings for me. And I'm like, oh, and how do you feel? She goes, well, I think I feel the same way. And she goes like, we stop at some gay bar. And she's like, all right, let's stop here and have a drink. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, all right, the reason why I went to this gay bar is because Simon lives above it, and I'm going to go see him after this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like still drinking my drink. And I'm like, maybe I have this much left. And she's like, you know what? I just got to go up the stairs and see him. I'm like, all right. So she leaves me alone at a gay bar.
Oh, this is even worse than a Quasimodo
fucking drink. So I don't know what happens with her and Simon. It just, everything kind of like moves on. She quits that place. She goes back to school to be a lawyer. I don't know what she's doing now. Hopefully she's dead of corona. So she hits me up months later. And she's like, you know, what are you doing? We're just bullshitting. And she's not mentioning this guy, Simon. But she's just bullshitting with me and da-da-da. And she goes to me, hey, I have a friend who wants to see John Witherspoon the next day. Can he come in? Can you get him in? I'm like, yeah, I'll get him in, no problem. So I'm seeing the room. I'm by myself. The doorman didn't show up. It's sold out because it's John Witherspoon, you know, back when he was still alive, not dead. Probably not. Hopefully he died of corona. And I'm seeing the fucking room. And that fucking guy, Simon, comes to the door. He's like, I hope you don't mind, but I got a couple of beds with me. That's what he used to call it. A couple of beds. And he shows up with like 3 or 4 women. And I'm like, you motherfucker. Why you just fucking say Simon wants to see John Witherspoon? And I never called her again. And she came in one night to see, would see my friend who also, and he's like, why don't you go over and say hi? I'm like, I'm not going to fucking say hi to her. Fuck that. Like, she wound up marrying that guy, and I think they have a kid or a kid and a half, 2 kids. I don't know. But yeah, I had the same thing happen to me.
Yeah, but you didn't have to like him.
Oh, no, I don't like him.
See, that was my point if you're forced into a position where you have to like him, you're like,
But just the balls. And then, like, when I disliked her, I made a status one day where I was like, don't overtip bartenders. She goes, well, you didn't tip me that much. And I was like, fuck you. I used to give you $20 tips. Fuck you. Fuck her. Anyway, this took a dark turn.
Well, you do have those people as a bartender that come in. You're like, all right, here's $20.
Well,
Here's
I would
30
never
bucks.
did the thing where I liked the bartender, but she was friends with my friend, and we would go out after her shift, and I got to know her more. So I really, when you go to a bar and there's a hot bartender, it's a futile thing to be into the bartender. It's not going to work. But if you're hanging out with her outside of her job, that's different, And I remember I even went Thanksgiving night and sat at the bar with her. She was by herself. I sat at the bar with her on Thanksgiving. But Simon won. They have a kid. Go fuck yourselves. All right, cool.
There you got Quasimodo'd.
I got Quasimodo'd 10 years later because it came
That
out
should be the
96.
saying now. It's like when people are like, "How is it with so and so?" You just be like, "I got Quasimodo.
I got Quasimodo.
I got
I've been Quasimodo'd my entire life. Yep.
Sometimes you get Quasi'd.
Quasimodo'd. So, let me ask you something, Kenny. Would you, because now it's on Disney Plus, kids are home, they don't have schools, don't exist anymore. Do you think that this movie is okay for a young kid nowadays in 2020?
I think, oh God, this is terrible to say. I don't have kids, right? So you can't really listen to what I have to say. But as somebody who has a lot of friends who have kids, who's around other people's kids when I go over there, if you could find any reason for your kid to sit down and shut the fuck up for an hour and a half or 2 hours, I say you show it to him. If you got an 8-year-old kid, throw on some fucking porn and he'll sit there for 9 hours amazed at what he's seeing. At this time in the coronavirus, I'm fine with it. But in general, I don't know.
I think it's good for a kid who's like 10 or 11 who's into musicals. I would see if your kid's 3 or 4, hold off on this one.
Yeah.
There's so much other stuff to show
Yeah.
a kid that young that you don't need to go to this. But I do think if a kid is like, I want to be in musical theater, and the kid's like hitting 11 or 9, I would even say 9.
My problem with it is that there's so many things in it that are such good learning moments.
Yeah, and there's so many good
not
songs.
learning moments, good teaching moments that they not 5 seconds later they say one line and they ruin the entire fucking teaching moment of it. You know what I mean? That's my one problem with the movie.
Here's my thing with this movie.
And when is your kid old enough that you could look at them and go, hey, like, there's a harsh reality behind this movie?
But they don't sugarcoat things in this movie, which I like.
But for a teaching moment, like, if you have a 12-year-old kid, believe it or not, like, they're not going to want to sit down and watch this shit because they're at that age that they're like,
well,
I
would say if your kid's in the musical theater.
Yes, but in general, there is some good teaching moments in this movie about.
That's why I went
there's
down
a
to 9.
reality-ness to it that's like.
Yeah. I think a 9-year-old could handle this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think even. I mean, 3 and 4 is that age where I don't know. Can't you really show them anything as long as it's not all dogs
I think this
go
would
to
just
heaven?
be too dark. I mean, the guy's gonna burn kids alive. Frollo.
Yeah.
And there's like racism, and there's. I mean, I think if I was like 3 and I saw that mom die on the steps, I'd be like, can we put something else on? Like,
I mean, what's wild about it is, as time has gone on, there's no way they could have a lot of this in movies now.
This movie would not. You could not. If you walked in. First of all, if you walked in now to like a pitch meeting and you're like, we want to, let's say this movie never happened. You go, I think we should make Victor Hugo's novel Hunchback of Notre Dame into a musical and make that our next Disney film. I think the studio would be like, you need to get the fuck out and not come back.
Yeah, but isn't there a decent amount of Disney movies that were like considered like old, almost horror fairy tales?
Yeah, but but like they never made Snow White or Cinderella like the original versions of like Snow White and the original versions of like Little Mermaid have horror elements. Have
they do,
dark elements.
right?
Yeah, but
Like Hansel and Gretel, wasn't that originally like?
Well, that wasn't a Disney.
Okay.
They could do Hansel and Gretel now. This movie, I think, even Peter Pan has like dark elements to it. But this movie, this property was made into several horror films, like in the 40s and in the 30s. And I think, he's kind of like a monster character, the Hunchback. Igor from Frankenstein is based off Hunchback.
Gotcha.
So, like, for them to, like, be like, this is our next thing after Pocahontas and after Lion King and da-da-da, I thought was a ballsy move, and to make it this dark was a ballsy move. I just feel like they should have committed to the darkness and not had these fucking gargoyles, which I think the gargoyles, it stops the movie from becoming an 8 or a 9 and leaves it at utmost a 7.
You know what I also don't like about it, which I never really realized till today about a lot of Disney movies? I don't like there's no accents.
Yeah, they all talk. They're
I don't like that they're Americanized.
No, the fucking goofy guy in the mask who tells the story has an accent, but Frollo and Hunchback and they have no accents.
Yeah, like I was expecting Dan Barry with Mick Thomas's accent. Is
Demi
what
Moore.
I was expecting.
Demi Moore doesn't have an accent. Demi Moore sounds like she just got out of
That's my and I don't know why. I guess because it's been so long since I saw the movie that when the Hunchback first speaks, I was like, wait, where's his accent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got like an American accent. Well, he's played by Tom Hughes, who I can't believe you never seen Amadeus, really?
No.
If you have a chance during this quarantine, sit down and watch that. That is one of the best movies ever made.
I'm just making a list, like whatever people tell me to watch.
For the
first time in my life, I'm listening. Right?
Can I tell you something?
When people are like, you know what you should watch? Normally, what my brain just goes off to, and I'm like, oh, a bird, and then out of my mouth is like, yeah, I'll watch that. But now, when people are like, you should watch that, I'm like, well, I need something to watch.
Like when I was a kid, I would see a screenshot of Amadeus because it's all period costumes from like fucking 1700s England, and you're like the white foppy those wigs. And you're like, that must be a big piece of shit.
I feel like I saw it.
But when you actually sit down and watch it, it's a very 80s. It's just as 80s and it's just as good, even though it takes place in the 1700s, as Ghostbusters and Back to the Future. And of all the movies from the 80s that won Best Picture, this is the one that deserves it. I would say it's probably one of the top 5 movies of the 80s, Amadeus.
Okay.
Yeah. It deserves the Oscar. There's very few movies I think deserve their Oscar. That's one of them.
I feel like I might have watched it in like a college theater class or something.
They
like
probably.
that.
I've known they do show it in colleges, but it's good. It's not like, it's good. You're a racist, by the way. Did I ever tell you that?
Wow.
I'm joking. Fuck with you.
Now everyone's gonna think that.
No, you're not. Hey, come on. Well, everyone's gonna be dead by the time.
Although I naturally look like I'm racist because I have no hair.
Let me tell you a funny story about him. So when I first met you, you sent me a message that you wanted to do my hotel show. That I remember I had a hotel show.
Yeah.
Wonder even that hotel's still open. So anyway, I was like, cool. Now you're bald. If people don't know what he looks, Kenny Ryan looks like, he's very bald. There's 2 other comedians who have very similar builds to you. There's Tim Thompson, who's also bald, and there's Vinny D'Agostino, who I don't see him the least. I see you and Tim Thompson I see you now the most. So 1 week I'm like booking the hotel show, and I'm like, I'm gonna book the guy from Long Island, and I just assumed your name was Tim Thompson. So I messaged Tim Thompson, and I'm like, would you like to do the hotel show? And you, thinking it was you, he's very befuddled. He's like, oh, what are you talking about? And he's like, all right, I'll be there. So he gets there, and he's like, I'm like, this guy looks older. And he's like, yeah, my wife, she got mad that I was like, he's married? I thought he was like just this young. Then I realized, like, oh shit, I booked, because I knew Colazzo. What's her name? Like Colazzo? I knew her because she's
or Jessica.
She's never gonna hear this. She's kind of hot. I knew her, so I was like, oh shit, I booked fucking Jessica's husband and not Kenny. It's like, oh fuck, shit. And he had a bad set, but and then I finally got you. But you did the hotel show eventually.
I did do the hotel. I think I did it like 2 weeks later, and then I did Caroline's.
Yes, you did Caroline's. Yes.
It was like one of those where you were like, I'm so sorry. He's like, I think you were actually very kind about it. You're like, this is what I'm gonna do for you since I fucked that up. I'm gonna give you the hotel show, and then on Monday, do you want to do Caroline's? And I was like, jackpot.
Yeah, because I booked.
I was on a show at Governor's once where there was 5 of us, bald guys. And they put all of us out like back to back to back to back to back. And I was like, these people just think that the same person is going backstage, changing, and coming right back out.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you, like, if comedy returns ever, they should totally at Governor's, they should do a show with you, Tim, and Vinny, and not explain anything.